we are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk.
All right, welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. I am Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we have a ton of stuff to go over with you guys, which is great. We have rumor mill stuff. We have 996 talk, Outlaw talk. We have recap from the P-Car Club meeting talk. A lot of upcoming things that are happening just to kind of inform you talk. So let's go and get started, right? Because this first one's going to probably take a while. So, all right. So upcoming stuff. We have the Checked It Out show in Chicago. When you're listening to this, we will probably be at it that following weekend.
Yep.
So this is Thursday. When you're listening, this happens on the weekend. So we'll probably be there this weekend if you're listening over on the weekend. So that'll be great. If you catch this on a Thursday and you're in the Midwest region, once again, giving a shout out to these guys. Make sure that you drive there. Go check it out, please. Come see everybody. It's coming. Some notables that will be there. Drew from the Cooled Collective, a good friend of ours. He has been on the podcast before.
Yep, a couple times.
Yeah, a good buddy of mine, Rod from England, is flying over. He will be there. Ray Schaefer from Porsche Classic Center will be there. We also are going to have Ray on the show for a half an hour, kind of a teaser, because we have an appointment with him in October where we're going to spend a lot of time with him at Porsche Classic Center.
Deep dive.
Yeah, and we're going to basically spend a lot of time, do a nice podcast, nice video podcast there at Porsche Classic Center in Atlanta and get the insides and outs there. Also another big person, or not person, but like conglomerate of people that are going to be there. PCNA will be at the show in Chicago, videotaping. Yeah, actually participating. So the fact that they are able to bring them in, 2 representatives from Porsche, that's kind of a big deal. We will, of course, be there. We're the small name on the ballot here, but we'll be there. They're anticipating over 200 cars at the show, so definitely don't miss it out on that. But moving forward, another great thing, it's happening this month for September. So the P-Car Club member giveaway this month is sponsored by Suncoast Porsche Parts. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this month. And what it's going to be is you'll see it. It'll be on Instagram. It'll probably be on our Facebook pages. We're going to do some stories on it. But just wanted to talk a little bit about it. It's a motorsports collection bag, right?
Yep.
So it's essentially like a multi-pocketed backpack. It's a good carry-on. It can do a lot of things, but it's from Porsche Motorsports. It's a $200 bag.
Yeah.
Again, what we talked about before, if you buy a membership, you buy the RS annual membership, and you win that bag.
Paid for.
And yeah, you already paid for that. And then what we give them is probably about a $45 value.
Yeah, easily.
So essentially you just stole $85 from us if you win that bag, right? Essentially,
yeah,
right? Because we're giving them $45 with all the stuff they end up getting from us with the initial sign up. And after they win the bag, then they're probably, then they're they're $85 in the green. So definitely more to come on that. We want to thank them so much for giving us that. So in order to be eligible to win that, you need to go to pcartalk.com.
Yep, become a virtual member.
Yep, under virtual membership. And please select one of those and become an annual member. And, there's monthly member stuff on there, but come on, guys. Do the right thing, huh? Be an annual member. Yeah, you need to be an annual member. And you probably want to be an RS annual member because that gets the most perks. You get the month off if you do that. So we can basically, you're only paying for 11 months of membership because we give you 1 month off if you buy an annual membership there. You're getting a metal membership card, which nobody's doing. No. So we kind of coining that. We're sending it, we're trendsetters. People will copycat us. It's flattery. We appreciate it. You're getting a member shirt. Yep. You're going to get 2 member decals. Yep. And then every month you're eligible to win something. It's worth way more than your membership.
Sounds like a win-win-win to me.
Win-win-win-win-win. So anyways, moving on. So don't forget to do that. Again, pcartalk.com. We do give out a ton of stuff, guys. So I just want to give this a PSA again. We're not trying to make a plug just to steal money from you guys at all. Like we really are. We're one of the few people that try to give money back. People just have these Patreon places that will give you additional content. We get this. Oh yeah, by the way, there's a live stream too that you get to participate on.
That's true.
And do a Q&A session that we host at the end of the month. Like we're doing that in addition to all the things that we're giving out too. And that's for all those club members. So help support those who are providing content for you guys. If you like the content, you've got to support the people that are doing that for you, whether that be us, somebody else. But please support somebody. We hope it's us. We hope you choose us. But definitely help support those that are providing content. As a reminder, every Friday,
Our mixed bags.
yeah, we have a mixed bag. Most of them are car reviews. Please go onto YouTube, subscribe. That helps us out a lot. Again, that's engaging with us. That's helping us out. So some of the cars that we reviewed that will be coming out that you will be seeing this month will be a modified 996 turbo that we drove.
Pretty
what a
modified.
beast.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it broke Aaron and scared him. He had a difficult time with the clutch. That was interesting. But I don't know if it's going to be in the video or not, but I think it's pretty funny. But it was a very powerful car, and you can hear me hooting and hollering like a hoonigan in that car, and had a great time, blasted that car on the bridge, and it was a monster. 2019 Targa 4 GTS, provided by Suncoast. 2015 Turbo S.
That thing's nasty.
Oh, God.
Even stock.
Just the burbles and that was also provided by Suncoast. So we have some serious heavy hitters coming out this month as far as reviews that you guys will enjoy. If you enjoy the podcast, you will definitely enjoy the reviews. Yep. So more Porsche, right? That can't be bad.
Podcast in a car.
Yeah. So some interesting things that are going to be coming down the line from actually one of our RS members.
Yeah.
RS, one of our story behind this. I won't, talk about his name because I don't know if he wants to be divulged, but we'll get to that point. I think he's going to come on the podcast, so you guys will figure out who he is eventually anyways, but we'll wait to that point. Yep. He did reach out to Aaron and I and said, hey, I noticed that you guys are doing car reviews. Would you like to review some of my cars? Absolutely. He's in the area. So let's hear what we're going to probably be doing at sometime this month in September, what we're going to be reviewing, which will be coming out eventually because it's staggered out. 2019 GT2 RS Weissach pack. Yikes. It's got that. You think you were scared of the 996. This car's going to rip your face off. Your beard might fall off. 2008 GT2. Okay, that car will definitely make you poo your pants. You're going to poo your pants on that one. Make sure you don't wear flip-flops that day, please.
I'm getting some driving shoes.
Yeah, but inside story on that, Aaron always seems to wear flip-flops when we go to review cars for whatever reason, so it doesn't really work out that well. I wear shoes because you should wear shoes when you're test driving something. But anyways, 2018 GT3 PTS manual, so the 4.0, and then possibly we talked about doing as RS America as well. I think it would be nice to compare that with the 964 C2 that I have. So it'll be a fun month. A lot of great reviews coming out for you guys to be engaged with, for you guys to see content. We're out here providing it for you guys, trying to do our best for you guys, give you the juicy cars. That if you think about the cars we've been doing, we're doing stock cars, we're doing modified cars, we're doing new cars, we're doing old cars. We're trying to do a little bit of everything for everybody. But at the end of the day, we're trying to do cars that we would want to own, right?
Oh, exactly.
And so, I think those are the cars that you guys would want to own. And where I'm going with this is, if you're a listener or if you're a member, please contact us if you want us to review your cars. We have a P-Car breakfast. We have a lot of people that end up coming to that. If you have one of the cars there, don't be bashful. If you want us to drive and review your car, and we'll definitely check it out and see if we can fit it in. Variety is always good. It doesn't have to be the coolest car in the world. Don't be scared if you think your car's not, everybody's kind of modest. They're like, why would they want to review my car? And, honestly, contact us, send us what you have, and we could go from there and see if we can get it in the schedule. So that's on pcartalk.com. Contact us, send us. The best way to probably do that is via email, right, Aaron?
pcar@gmail.com.
Yeah. Hit it up at, so say that again. So
pcar@gmail.com.
pcar@gmail.com, not pcartalk.
pcartalk, excuse me.
Okay. pcartalk
at
gmail.com. Okay, I'll repeat that. pcartalk@gmail.com. If you want us to review your car, or if you want us to tell us we suck, whatever.
Forward it to Mike.
So that's the upcoming stuff. I know that was a whirlwind, and that was a lot of information in a quick amount of time. So let's get into some things that, some rumor mill stuff, some spy shots, some interesting things. GT3 Touring spied.
Yep, it's all in black, like normal.
Yeah, Darth Vader mode, right?
Exactly. It still looks weird with that spoiler coming up the way it does to air brake.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going to make that model again, right?
Yeah.
So
points to it. I mean, center exhaust, everything.
Yeah, they're saying that's what spied. I think that's what that car is. I don't know what else it would be. Is like what, a D-winged GT3? I mean, That's what a Touring is. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
So I guess that's just the assumptions on the spy shots. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it should skip a generation? Do you think it's good they're making it again? I know there was a lot of hype behind the last one. A lot of people enjoyed that car.
I'm surprised that they're making it so quickly, because normally doesn't it take a year run of the new model before they start bringing it out?
Great point.
So
Because usually the specialty cars start to come out a little bit later in the model line, right?
They must have prepped.
Because, like, for example, last model line, right? 991.2 GT2 RS, like the pinnacle of that line. That's what that car was. Like, the heavy hitters usually come towards the end. And maybe this isn't that. I mean, it is a spy shot, and this is the rumor mill where this is at. This may not be a GT3 Touring. That might just have been a different exhaust placement on a car. That's all it might have been. Like,
GTS has a center exhaust now.
I mean, you can't tell. They're all wide bodies, right?
That's true. And that's what I was going to say is maybe now we're starting to see, because we kind of talked about the production would be a little bit different. Maybe with everything being a wide body, this enables them to do every car with just a different engine change and a few things here and there.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
And now we have the ability to release everything in first year gen.
Yeah, because you don't have to rebody anything.
Nope. So we're in there.
Slap and go. Different motors, different exhaust placement, maybe a different rear bumper. That's it.
Maybe
Let's go with it.
Rear valence. They may just be a lip at this point.
Yeah.
Swap, and then we're good.
So let's talk about this a little bit more, because I have some interesting theories behind this. So if it is, let's just play this scenario out. Say it is a GT3 Touring.
Okay.
So let's imply what we know. What we know is past GT3, all of them were manual transmissions.
Up to Tourings.
So does that mean that this new car is going to be a manual transmission? Or do you think it would be a PDK car? Or do you think they're going to stick to the guns of having a manual transmission?
I think they will stick with it being a manual transmission. My reason is because of what they just announced, which is that GT4 and it having the manual and the Spider having the manual.
Yeah.
So they have a transmission for it. And I mean, in those two GT cars or GT style car, and I think they will.
So do you think that the only way to get a GT3 would be to get to Touring, or you think they're gonna have it available in the new 992 GT3 as a manual transmission as well?
I think if they did, then I don't know that would make the Touring as special. I don't know. I still think it'd be cool if they do offer it in both lines.
Yeah.
I definitely think that this will be a manual only. I don't see them.
I really hope they do.
Yeah.
I really hope they stick to the guns on that,
That's
especially
rated.
because it's such a dying option. And maybe that's how they can QC it, right? Maybe they can force it to say, this car is only this. We don't have to worry about putting a PDK in it. We know when this one comes down the line, it's getting this transmission. So maybe that streamlines their production because they know it has to be that, as opposed to, oh, okay, this one is this one. Now it has to go this way, and any of that kind of stuff. I don't know, like. Would it be strange? What do you think the masses? I mean, it's a special car to begin with.
Yep.
So are we going to get a fallout from the people who wouldn't buy the car? You know who you are, and I'm included in that too. So I'll jump into the coals with you on that one, where I'm like, oh, it goes back to that Gran Turismo type deal, like where I want the wagon, but I'm not spending 180. Same thing, like. If they make the Touring in PDK and people are like, oh, it's blasphemy, I can't believe you did that. And they're like, you weren't even a buyer for the car, so what does it matter? Your opinion doesn't count. Yep. I'd probably be one of those people saying, like, that's blasphemy, but in my opinion, it doesn't count. This is the best. But is it a Touring still then? Because it's just...
Yeah, because the Touring, in essence, would be you're not caring about
exactly.
lap times.
You're
caring
not
about loving
exactly.
the countryside, loving the mountains.
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower.
You're cruising essentially. I mean, they call it cruising, but you're not. You're spirited driving on B roads or for here bridges and long straightaways.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But then, I mean, it could be said that you could still you could still have that same pace in a PDK. It's just not. There's one less engaging moment. Now, have you seen any videos on it at all to hear? Has anybody commented turbos, non-turbos, as much as they said?
No.
No turbos.
They haven't said anything about it, but it's going to... the GT3s doesn't have a turbo in it.
Yeah.
So why would they change that? Essentially, this is just a de-winged GT3, essentially. I think there will be a manual in it. I think that this will be probably the last hurrah.
That's what we always keep saying, and they keep making manuals.
No, I mean not even in a manual. I just meant in general where you're mating like a naturally aspirated motor with a manual transmission before hybrid technology comes in.
Before it goes electric.
It's already happened in certain areas. I mean, there's already turbo Carrera, all that kind of stuff has already existed. There's no getting away. Like, they're not going to turn that around and go naturally aspirated now. They're not, no matter how much people cry about it. No one cares. Like, I mean, Porsche AG doesn't care. They're like, no. But I know we sound like we're banging the battle cry drum, but like really, I really do believe this is the last gen GT cars, even speaking for the GT4s, that we're probably going to see naturally aspirated. I just don't see how they can move forward and not have them like turbocharged, or in the sense, and what I mean by that is from an emission standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, they regressed from the 4-cylinder to the 6, the GT cars, though, for the Caymans and Boxers.
But, okay, so let's talk about it a little bit, because the people that have reviewed that car, in order to combat that, they said even the sound is more muffled on that car because they've had to put more catalytic converters in that car to pass emissions.
It's called something. I know it's called something special, and they've done that across the board, even in Germany in racing. It's some special particulate filter. Yeah,
exactly. So, there's some type of additional filter on there which muffles the sound even more. Now, the good part is like the aftermarket market supports being able to take all of that crap off, and now then you can hear it, and then you can hear it again. But I think just from a manufacturing, now we have to remember this, guys. Remember, they're not like us. They have to produce cars in a regulated style.
Yeah.
So if they want to come out with a new car and each emission changes each year, it's not about them wanting what they want. It's about what they have to comply with in order to sell the car.
Yep.
And I just think I think their hands, I don't know, like are super close to being totally tied together. Like if they're not almost always, like maybe they just snuck these just out and this is it, like.
They'll never see these coming.
But the interesting part about that is just, I just think that, and this isn't, we're not paid by Porsche. We're not out here trying to sell cars. These cars sell themselves. When this is just two yahoos with an opinion, it just really, I don't know, man. It is, and our friend Chris is the same way. I don't know if you've seen his stories, if you listen to their podcast, but he's hell bent on believing it too. I mean, we are in a golden era, but this golden era is going to end very quickly.
Well, I mean, emission wise, it's going to have to eventually if they're pushing, if they're pushing to at least an all electric car in every lineup, and then it'll eventually phase out those cars. It's going to have to be at least a hybrid, even if they're going to fight it, like you said. To start with, to ease people into that electric, and then it'll be electrified motorsports.
Yeah.
And then we'll be stuck with electric cars. But I mean, it still takes time.
I mean, let's think about racing.
Yep.
IMSA racing at the moment, like this past current season. Naturally aspirated cars in this race.
Dominating.
But look how few of them there are. The Mercedes is a turbo. The Ford is a turbo.
Yeah, V6
the BMW is a turbo.
Yeah, it's true.
The Ferrari, it's the 488. That's a turbo. The only naturally aspirated cars in this is the Lambo and the Porsche.
Yep, we're holding out.
They're the only two left fighting it out. Well, I take that back. The Corvette, I was competing in that as well, I guess.
Oh, yeah, forgot about this.
I forgot that.
We don't care.
The junk box. Like, whatever. But that car, so those three are naturally aspirated cars that are competing in IMSA. I mean, it doesn't mean that Porsche can't go turbo, because there's other turbo cars in that class.
Yep.
It's just a matter of time till they're probably going to go turbo. It's just an interesting thought. I know we talked about it before. I know we kind of spiraled on that tangent with that, but so let's change paces a little bit. Inside rumor, some more rumor news. Yep. That isn't really a rumor news. That was actually factual pictures, but we were speculating on what we thought. Yeah. Like reverse engineering what we thought might come out with that. So, but this one, and I don't know if it's actually rumor. Maybe it's just inside actual information.
Yeah.
But full disclaimer, you heard it here first. So if this becomes actuality, I promise you there's nobody else talking about this anywhere. Like there's probably forum talk about it, but this is the actual first official media discuss about this. Yep. GT4 RS.
Yep. When we heard about it, it's like, well, I mean, it lines up with everything, but it's more.
Yeah. And so let me give you a little bit more supported truth behind why this is happening. This certain friend of ours has access to internal catalogs that isn't open to external people outside of Porsche. And they saw parts bin stuff for GT4 RS stuff for 2020.
Yep. Which would speak to...
So that means if people can buy parts for a GT4 RS, you can kind of read between the lines that there's going to be a GT4 RS.
Then you too will need one.
Yeah, because you would need one to buy parts for said GT4 RS. Now, with that being said, I'm going to say it again. Boom, you heard it here first. But GT4 RS, I know we talk about this a lot. Is this just another car in a lineup of cars that they don't need to make?
And will the GT4 RS have center exhaust outside the GT4 having that weird?
We just saw part stuff for it. I mean, it's to speculate all that. What I want to discuss about it, I guess, is it necessary? I mean, okay, so there's so many levels of Cayman right now. Base Cayman, Cayman S, Cayman GTS, Cayman T, Cayman GT4. Now it's going to be Cayman GT4 RS.
Yeah, but maybe somebody just there's obviously a Cayman group. But you would think that they would have announced this.
Yeah. I'm not saying it negatively. No.
Yeah,
I don't mean it like there's not a following. The Cayman group is strong. That's not what I mean at all. Mm-hmm. What I meant is this turning into... Because the 911 has a lot. So is this basically just going to mirror... We've talked about this in the past. Is this trying to mirror what the Gen 911 is doing for their own product line?
But it isn't. What would make sense to me is why would they have one and not releasing a good one? That's why. I mean, if you're going to release your GT4 and I understand that those are pretty close. The Spider and the GT4 are super similar now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why you would talk about this too. But why wouldn't you have your flagship out there?
Because it goes back to what we talked about before. That it's usually a little bit later release.
Maybe that is going to be 2021.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit a later release. Because as we know, the GT3, no, is it GT4? Is it GT4 class is gaining popularity. So maybe that's why they're doing, because they're going to go race in that series with this RS car.
Well, I mean, and two, it gives you
instead of the club sport.
Yeah, I mean, that is the only option you have. So you have a GT4, or you have to go club sport to get anything higher out of it.
So maybe
you don't have a street version.
Maybe they're just ready to win those races, so they're going to make an RS for that.
Maybe.
And then they'll make an RSR, like Cayman RSR, to race on the track, as like they do with the 911 RSR. I think it's interesting. I want to tie this together with, the GT3 RS kind of skips generations sometimes. I wonder, they're not competing with each other. Maybe the 992, we're not going to see a GT3 RS. Maybe we're just going to see a GT3.
Maybe so.
And they're going to let the Cayman have a day in the sun with the GT4 RS. Because if you had, I'm trying to think in the product line, they've never had competing RSs at any point. I mean, to be fair, they've never had a Cayman RS anyways. It doesn't matter. Like, it's always been 911. I just wonder if those two cars are going to be competing in the same market just because they're RSs, or will it even matter because they're just doing so good in their sales?
I don't think I would see them competing in the same market. I mean, obviously the same bloodline, they're an RS and it's an RS. That's about as far as that goes for me. Looking at them, the price points are going to be totally different.
Time has passed a little bit, and this takes me to, and we'll circle back to this, guys. I don't want to leave that alone. I just want to kind of open my mind up, and I didn't have this written down. with the IMSA talk of the hypercar series, do you think we're going to see another hypercar from Porsche that's road legal soon? Like kind of like a 98, the 918 was, the hybrid. Are we going to see something like that? I'm not saying next year or even the year after, but we're kind of due, right? Like Carrera GT, then we did 918.
The 19's been out for a bit.
Yeah, so now are we going to see something maybe like a retro 917 like we talked about before, and that's going to be the new hypercar? Like,
Really cool.
do you see something like that happening in the future?
I mean, immediately when we first started seeing the concepts for 917, I thought that's immediate. That's what they were going to do, was a street car.
Yeah. Or do you think we're going to see a GT1?
Ooh, now that's good talk there. I would love to see another GT. I mean, because like I was telling you, I didn't know that they made one, and they've only made one. There's a 993 GT1, all in white. So there's one. You see all the 996s, but you don't see the 993s because they don't exist. That would be cool to bring back that. That's something that's heritage-wise that nobody really talks about. And they would still bring in that.
But that thing's so race. I don't even know if you could call like they at least made 900 something 918s. They're not making I'm thinking of something of like 900 they can make of or something, whatever they're going to call it. Like they'll make, if it's a 917, they'll make 917 of them, whatever the number is.
Yep.
That we'll see on the road.
I think the 917 concept makes more sense than anything because it already looks like a road going car, and then that just gets tweaked to the race car.
Plus it has lineage, right?
Yep.
So
both that style would be, but yeah.
Fingers crossed, Porsche AG make that happen. So let's circle back to close on the GT4 before we go on break. So GT4 RS, if that comes out, regular GT4, the new one that's coming out that people have taken orders and probably going to take delivery on soon, maybe spring. 420 horsepower. So let's speculate on where do we think horsepower is going to be with this.
470.
Okay, so 40 less than the 911 RS, essentially.
That's so close.
Exactly. And your mid-engine.
Yeah, that's gonna.
You know how they feel about that. That's Big Brother. Don't get close to him. He's first child. He gets everything. Like he's kick-ass. Don't mess with him.
It's gonna make some. I mean, that's gonna be a really.
That's why I was talking about earlier, and I know we didn't get to finish it, but that was my theory behind. Do they let the RS take a break? The 911 RS,
and then really go.
And that way, there's not this. Well, that's only 40 horsepower difference. Like, what the hell? That guy's got a Cayman, and he paid $100,000 less, or whatever. I mean, it wouldn't be that much, but you know what I'm saying.
Or do they do a horsepower bump, or do they just keep it the same and then just tweak it to a little bit more race?
I don't know.
Hardcore spec. So.
I mean, you got to think that flat six has got to be. It's got to be at its end of what they can get out of it.
They can get out of it, yeah.
And that's why it goes back to that forced induction stuff we talked about earlier.
Do you think the RS has turbos?
I don't know.
I doubt that they get it within that close of a gap between the GT3 RS and the GT4 RS. Because if they already see it, if everyone already artificially.
Well, I mean, if you think about the gap between like the GT3 and the GT3 RS, there's not a monster gap in horsepower there. There's usually like 20 to 30.
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
So if we're at 420 in the GT4, we may see 440 or 450 at the max. So that still puts the RS at like 515. Yep. So that's still significant. 65 horsepower. I can see that. Yeah, like I can see that living because 65 horsepower is significant.
Yep. And a different chassis and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I could see that. So maybe that's how they'll both coexist. But enough about that. We talked a lot about that stuff. We're going to go on a quick break, but then we'll recap the PCAR Club meeting, and we'll discuss base Carrera stuff, Outlaw 996 stuff, some cool stuff that's coming out, some cool things that we're starting to see trends in. So we will talk about that when we come back to break. We'll see you soon.
See you.
Thank you guys listening to PCAR Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Please go to pcartalk.com and check that out. We have a virtual membership on there. We are on there on Tuesdays meeting with you guys. Become a virtual member. We would solely appreciate that so much. Also check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment, we really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com, there is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward and all the exciting things that are coming out. And again, the virtual membership is on pcartalk.com. Now back to the show. We are back from break. Let's get into it. So, PCAR Club meeting, recap, outstanding, right? Thank you guys for the engagement. What a great conversation we had with everybody. Like to thank all the members that did attend.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, the live stream. Thanks for engaging. The Q&A session was outstanding.
Amazing.
Once again, congratulations to the lucky winner of the Wolfpack 901 giveaway. It was the engine badge and the wallet, watch holder, knife holder with the Rio Papatilla from the Porsche factory, right? Like That's some rare stuff there. Congratulations to that winner once again. Again, you don't want to miss out. Join up now on pcartalk.com and become a club member. So you can be eligible for the next giveaway. So you won't be the person on the outside wondering what we talked about and wondering what we gave away. Well, we kind of knew what you gave away, but who the winner is and all that kind of stuff, because we announced it on the show. So you're missing out, and you're missing out on opportunities to win something awesome, right?
So if you don't like to miss out, join the club.
Yeah, right. Again, you get a ton back. We say that all the time. But let's get into kind of a new age type of deal. And what I mean by that is, let's talk about a 996 base Carrera that I saw, that I talked to Aaron offline about this. So it was kind of outlawed. It's for sale. White car. It's a 99, so first year. But these cars are starting to get more popular with the enthusiasts because they're affordable.
Yep.
It's somewhat light. It's a two-wheel drive car.
It's a 911.
Yeah, it's a 911. It's 296 horsepower. And if you massage it a little bit, you can get some stuff out of it. You can make it look a certain way. So this particular car, let me just say some of the stuff that's in it, right? It had a total engine rebuild, had a lightweight flywheel, upgraded clutch, exhaust, coilovers, 996 GT3 wheels on it, had a half cage in it, lower center console delete, so it looks like the old school dash where it just runs all the way across, where there's not a connection in there. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought it was, a pretty neat thing to look at and a neat thing to break up. The car's 20 years old, so it's quickly approaching to be a classic car.
Yeah, as much as we don't think as those being classics already.
Yeah, right. So, barring the headlights, everybody brings that crap up. I mean, the car weighs about, I like eggs, whatever. Car weighs 3,100 pounds. It's relatively light in the sense of things, like that's probably massage where you get it tuned, maybe send off the ECU. You could probably get a little over 300 horsepower out of this thing. Probably pretty good performer. I've heard a lot of people even that have had a base Carrera 996 gen that's done all of these things, and they've tracked it, and they've loved the car. They love the feedback from it. It's still pretty analog.
Or the most analog.
Where I'm going with all this, guys, the reason why I'm giving you all this information, and Aaron and I are going to get somewhere with this, trust me. Are we going to start seeing more of this? And when I say more of this, more of these cars being outlawed. 996, outlaw. 997, even maybe outlaw. Because are we going to start seeing more water-cooled outlaws? Because, and I know we talked about in a prior episode about how the market might be softening on air-cooled cars, but that's always been a trend for older cars, right? And maybe because it was a trend because they were older cars and it was people wanted to do funky things to them.
They felt like it was an okay because it wasn't as
expensive. It wasn't new, and now these things are approaching, this car is 20 years old. I mean, from a DMV perspective, 5 more years, this is going to be able to run a classic plate.
Yeah, some blue plates here.
Yeah, so, and their definition of classic car, yes, this is going to be a classic soon. Do you think we're going to see more of this?
I think so. Just based on price, and you don't feel bad about doing something to it. You're not going to ruin it because now it's not costing me $35,000 to get into the car or $40,000 to get in it. I can get into for half that, for less, and also not even just that, but potential in the car.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, it's
quite a
it's
bit of
still
horsepower.
Platform.
Yeah,
it's
a
still
lot
good
more than,
platform.
hey, you do an SC, it had 180 horsepower, and even if you put PMOs and you do all this stuff, and okay, now you've got it up to 220. Okay, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, and there's still, I mean, the superchargers aren't crazily expensive EV. If you wanted to even a little pump the power up even more after that.
Yeah. So, would you own one of these? Would you outlaw one of these?
I think I would. I think I would. I think I would outlaw one. I think it would.
A 996?
I don't think it. A 996.
Yeah.
I don't think it wouldn't be silver. I like the white.
Yeah.
I like the white.
You don't
ones.
see
That's
too many
pretty
white ones.
cool. I don't know if I'd do any other colors, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be.
And when I say outlaw, like I'm almost thinking it to like this one wasn't done this way, but I'm thinking almost kind of like traditional outlaws. And when I say traditional, there's no traditional outlaw, or there's not an actual cookie cutter outlaw, but I guess maybe kind of like adding funky colors to it, meaning like how my 964, like I went maritime cage, maritime blue calibers on a guards red car. I mean, even doing something funky like this, say you had a white car. Would you do like a jade green cage with jade green brake calibers to make it pop inside the white? Like, are we going to start seeing more? I know that I'm not saying that no one's ever done this, and this is so outlandish. Like, it's like unbelievable. Who thought of this? I've seen 997s with like an acid green cage and an acid green brakes on a Carrera S. You know, what's been slightly outlawed. You just don't see a lot of them. But I guess where I'm getting at is this going to be more of a trend? I think the answer to that is yes.
I think so too. I think it's good for that. I think it's a resurgence of. It's not only about the air cooled cars, but now the water cooleds are going to have their day, and you're going to and just to enjoy them, people are really going to start to enjoy them versus just trying to collect.
Yeah, or I mean, or daily driving them,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where they were living for a long time. They were daily drivers because they were expensive when they were new. When people were not buying a brand new car just to park. I mean, that's kind of a newer trend as far as Porsches go. You know, speaking of GT cars and all that stuff, even though they're meant for the track. I see it happening. I would outlaw either one of them, and honestly, like seeing this car for sale. I'm not going to say where it was for sale because I might end up buying it, but it's for sale to the public. It's in the public for sale area. But it's honestly like, it's funny because I talked about a 996 turbo and I love that car. And when we reviewed that one car, it was outstanding and it was unbelievable amount of power. But it almost goes back to a slow car fast thing, right? Like you could probably use all of this power
That's the way I felt
and
about
not get in
997.
trouble and still feel like the car's quick.
Yep, I felt
As opposed to the turbo where you're going to fly off the bridge and die.
But
Like that's how fast it
you could
is.
flat foot it and just fine. So much more of the time than you would be able to.
And honestly, like this car with headers and straight pipes, like I actually did some like YouTube research because I was just curious what the 3.4 sounded like because you just don't see a lot of them like dolled up
because
or
everybody's like 3.4. Ugh.
well, I mean, not even that too. It has a couple of strikes against it, right? 3.4, and then it's a 996. So people are like, ew, gross. You're adopted. Get out of here. Like, not that mean that in a negative way. Like if you're adopted, I'm sorry that I said that, but like not.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying, right? You know, where people like the kids are mean to other kids and they're just, even though that car is amazing, even though, and if you're adopted, I'm sure you're amazing too. And what I mean by that is these cars weren't getting fair shakes before, and now they are getting fair shakes, I think, just because time is going by and people are looking at them like, oh, okay, this is a realistic like thing that I can consider.
Yep.
So, or
I mean,
especially for price point, like, you know, I'll be totally transparent. I mean, they want the cars for sale for $26,000. You could probably get a couple grand. You probably could get into this car for $25,000.
Yep, and
Set up just like this.
that'd be cool. I mean, and I think we've talked about it before too. Do you think that it's like a 964-esque, that style where it's kind of that unloved car? It's kind of low valued.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll ever come? I mean, everybody always talks about it. Do you think
I think that-
rise, or do you think this is just going to be a...
I think the hard part about that will be the fact that the car itself, they made a lot more of them than they made the 9.6. Yeah,
So it doesn't matter.
exactly. They just made a lot more of them. So I think it's one of those type of deals.
So-
But I don't know if it'll have the collectability, but it's still going to have the fun factor. It's still a 911. It's still a Porsche, and you can outlaw it and not feel guilty about it. And how many cars can you buy nowadays with at 25,000 buy-in, and maybe, okay, it already has a cage in it, had the black brake caliber. So maybe you go in and you spend money to paint the cage and money to paint the calibers, but the car has an engine rebuild, like long as everything checks out. And then maybe you go, you don't like the wheels, so you change a wheel thing. It always coil over. So maybe you buy some BBS, whatever, E88s or something for the car that you like, and then you're done. You know what I mean? And then you're all in for, with paint and the new wheels and tires, you're probably all in at $6,500. So now you're all in at this car at like $32,000 all in, and you got a stout car, and it's fun and it's drivable, and you can drive it everywhere and do it, and it's got good AC, and people may talk trash, but who cares?
Yeah, but
like, and then it goes back to,
cool
do you feel like you have to buy something to what other people think?
Yeah.
It goes back to that thing we always try to pitch with, like, it's Porsche. Like, what does it matter, right? Like, we're all on the same team. Like,
That's the garage or the garbage truck. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like, what is that out there? Sorry guys, there's a garbage truck outside the studio. But anyways, so not to get off topic, but I just think we're going to start seeing a lot more of these. I think maybe, not to share all my internal trade secrets. Aaron and I talked offline of some of the things I would do to the car to make it.
I was going to ask about that. So something I saw recently.
But I would definitely, I like doing the seat thing because that's your thing too. Like, you can make it your own. I would definitely change the seats out. So like, I would do those type of things. But like some of the body things that I thought about doing, like, I won't discuss those just because those are kind of trade secrets. But
on the plus the vest, I saw recently one on 1552 Tarmax 96. I think that's a really good looking wheel in that car.
Yeah, I feel like the car's kind of round though. Like, I feel like it doesn't look with those, because it's a flat surface wheel. I feel like you almost need a BBS style wheel to make it look like motorsports, because the body lines are so soft. Because there's no hard body lines on a 996. No. I almost feel like the right wheel and the only wheel for that car is some type of motorsport wheel. I mean, I like the 996 GT3 wheels that are on this particular 996 I'm talking about. They actually look good on the car, but I would just change it just because I have to change things. That's just how I operate. So, but I think honestly, like you and I talked about this too, and I meant for like price wise, this car is a super sweet spot.
Yeah, for the engine rebuild and everything else like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. If you have the money and you step up a little bit, maybe if you have 35 grand and you do an IMS on a Carrera S, like a 997 Carrera S, and then you're willing to go the next level and outlaw that car, like rear seat delete, you put a half cage in with a funky color, maybe like a Miami blue cage, Miami blue brakes. And then you go with a BBS motorsport style wheel, coilovers, full open header exhaust, full length exhaust, all that kind of stuff on the car like that. I think you got a special car there too, because that's a 3.8, and that thing probably will sound pretty menacing. Factory 355 horsepower with the mods that you do with maybe like ECU tune, and you're not going to get a ton more, but with the headers, the exhaust, the ECU tune, you probably get another 30 or 40. Yeah. So then you're probably like at what, 390? Horsepower. I mean, is it going to run neck and neck with a GT3? No, of its generation, but it's going to be close. It's probably going to be a car and a half behind, not a ton, and it's going to make all the right noises if you do the right sound, if you straight pipe it or you do whatever you're going to do, race exhaust and I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, because I think people are going to start taking their money and start to say like, well, I would love to have a GT3. I would love to have a turbo, but you know what? I'm going to buy a Carrera S and I'm going to outlaw the crap out of it.
But I can get 80% there.
Yeah, I'm going to outlaw. I'm going to make it mine. And that's kind of where the outlaw stuff came with the air-cooled stuff. You know what I mean? Like where people are like, well, I really wanted a 930 turbo, but you know what? I just went ahead and bought an SC and I put a turbo on it, and then I put flares on it, and I did my thing, and I did all this stuff to it, and it turned into one of those things. So I think we're going to see a second coming of that.
That was funny. I just watched Eric Whitaker's thing.
Did you?
Yeah, I just recently, yesterday, that car.
But yeah, it's insane. I mean, and it's a slippery slope, as we all know, while you're in there, whatever. But I just thought it was an interesting topic to bring up, because I think we're at the beginning phase of that, because you and I go to a lot of events, and
a lot of stock stuff.
I was going to say if there is an outlaw car there, it's usually an air-cooled car. Mm-hmm. We're not seeing too many outlaw water-cooled cars. I think that's coming. I think we're at the very beginning phase of that. I think we're going to start seeing those. I mean, because these cars, think about it, 20 years old, going to be 25 years old, going to be 30 years old eventually. And then people are going to get them at a decent price point, and people are going to go, hey, I want to make this thing mine. It's not special enough, right? Out of the 50,000 or probably more than that, 150,000 997 Carrera S's that were produced, well, I don't want mine to look like the rest. So now I'm going to mod it because I want it to look like my car compared to the rest, because guess what? Even if I keep it bone stock, it still ain't worth anything because there's so many of them.
It's true.
So it doesn't matter. Oh, why are you keeping the mileage down? Drive it. There's so many of them. It doesn't matter. They're not, one of 50. They're not a one of 700. There's so many of them. And I think that we're going to see that trend.
I think so too.
Do you embrace that trend? Do you think
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to see what people do with it. This for so long we keep going to the events, like I said, and just seeing like stock cars. I think it'd be neat to see different colors, different styles. Do people go motorsport? Do people...
I think it'd be neat too to see liveries on those cars too, right? Cool. Like where people do that with the older cars, where they'll maybe put like the signal orange bumper on the front and the rear, and then they'll put the meatball on it. You know what I'm talking about? The air cooled cars, right? And like the ducktail or whatever. I'm not saying, but like just to see, I'm just using those as examples. I'm not saying that exact combo on a 997 or 996. I don't even know if they would work, but maybe they would. Until you see one, you probably don't know. Probably thought people when they were doing that to those cars and those air cooled cars, they probably thought they were crazy. Exactly. They're like, "What are you doing? That looks like trash."
I hate that.
Like, why is your bumper orange? It's because Outlaw, bro.
Yeah, why your seat plaid?
Yeah,
exactly.
I drive it. It's Outlaw, bro. But yeah, kind of a short show. I think that's all I have. Is there anything else that you have?
No. I don't ask
I don't want to drag out anything else other than that, other than what we had to talk about. So yeah, again, just to circle back to, as a reminder, this month's giveaway from Suncoast Porsche Parts. Yep. It's the Motorsports bag, $200 value. It only cost $160 to become an RS annual member. So you already be 40 in the green, and then the $45 essentially we give you back with shirts, decals, and metal card, membership card.
Man, that thing's...
You owe us $85 essentially.
So we just pay us.
So we'll just bill you, I guess, if you win, or dock your account. I guess is that the best way to do it, Aaron? You just dock their account. Is that how it would work?
Yeah. Just
okay. Yeah. That works. That we'll just do that. But in all seriousness, guys, in order to do that, just become a PCAR Club member. Quit BSing around. I have so many people DM me all the time. I'm going to join, bro. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Just do it. Help support us. Do the right thing. Win yourself some stuff. Brag to your friends that you want something cool. Get a bunch of cool swag from us as well. And also be able to participate on the live feed. I mean, it's a cool thing. And I've been saying it, and it's an important thing. Our friend has said, and I've been repeating it because it is an important message. Make sure that you guys are supporting the ones that are providing content for you. I will say it over and over again, whether that be us or someone else. Make sure that you're supporting somebody that you guys are, somebody in the social media area is providing good content for you, that you take the time to listen to, or they're going to events and they're bringing stuff back, and make sure they're providing you value. Yep. If you're gonna support them, just don't buy stuff to just do it. Like if they're providing you value, make sure you support them. And I think that we do that. We try to give as much back as practically possible. And the members that are our members can support that. And you can ask them, they definitely feel that they're getting a lot back. They don't feel like they're being fleeced and we're just taking their money. That's not what this is. It's a brotherhood. It's a fraternity, a sisterhood. Like I said before, we're all in this together. Yep. But thank you guys for listening to the Soapbox Rant. We love you guys so much. And we will see you on the next one.
All right, see you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk or online at PCARTalk.com.